Another delivery run to the old downtown district. At least the weather is nice today. Been doing this route for 6 months now, and I still get lost sometimes. GPS says turn left here, but I swear this street wasn't here yesterday. Package for apartment 4B. Hope they're actually home this time. Last week I made 3 trips to the same address because people never check their delivery notifications. Modern life, right? Everyone wants instant everything, but nobody wants to be available to receive it. Traffic is getting worse every day in this city. Used to take me 20 minutes to cross downtown. Now, it's almost an hour during peak times. Makes me miss my old job sometimes. At least in the ambulance, we had lights and sirens to cut through all this mess. 2 years since I left emergency services. 2 years of trying to convince myself that delivering packages is just as meaningful as saving lives. Some days I believe it, some days I don't. Today is definitely a don't kind of day. My sister keeps asking when I'm going back to paramedic work. Says it's obvious I miss it from the way I talk about medical shows on TV. She's not wrong, but she doesn't understand the nightmares, the constant stress, the feeling like everyone's life depends on you making the right decision in 3 seconds. That last call still haunts me. 7-year-old kid, car accident, didn't make it despite everything we tried. The parents' faces when we had to tell them. The mother collapsed. The father just stood there in shock. I couldn't eat for 3 days afterward. Maybe I should call my old partner Jake. See how he's doing, if he's still running calls. He always said I was too sensitive for emergency work, that I cared too much. Maybe he was right. Maybe some people aren't cut out for that level of responsibility. This delivery job pays the bills, gives me time to think. Nobody dies if I'm 5 minutes late. Simple, predictable, safe. So why do I feel like I'm wasting my life driving around dropping off other people's online shopping? Mom would have wanted me to stay in medicine. She always said I had healing hands, even as a kid when I'd bandage on my stuffed animals. Lost her to cancer 3 years ago. Sometimes I wonder if I quit paramedic work because I couldn't save her either. Dr. Martinez at the trauma center sent me a Christmas card last year. Said they miss having someone on the team who genuinely cared about every patient. Made me cry, honestly, but caring that much nearly broke me. Maybe I should consider going back part-time. Volunteer work, community first aid training, something that uses my skills without the full-time emotional weight. Can't keep running packages forever, that's for sure. These boxes are getting heavier, or I'm getting weaker from sitting in a truck all day instead of staying physically fit for emergency work. Used to be able to carry a 100-pound patient down 3 flights of stairs. Now I'm winded from loading packages. Next delivery is across town. Probably another apartment complex with broken elevators and no clear unit numbers. Why do people make receiving packages so complicated? At least medical emergencies had clear protocols and procedures to follow. Radio says there was a multi-car accident on the interstate this morning. Part of me wonders if I could have helped, if my skills could have made a difference for someone. Other part of me is relieved I wasn't there to see it. Jake texted me last month about an opening on his crew. Said the new guy is competent, but doesn't have the instincts, doesn't read situations the way I used to. It's tempting, but I remember why I left. The constant adrenaline, the emotional roller coaster, the weight of responsibility. Sometimes I practice emergency scenarios in my head while I'm driving. What would I do if the car in front of me crashed? If someone had a heart attack in a coffee shop? Muscle memory is still there, training is still sharp. Just the confidence that's shaken. Therapist says I have survivor's guilt mixed with imposter syndrome. That I blame myself for the patients I couldn't save while convincing myself I was never really good at the job anyway. Apparently, that's common in former first responders. Should probably grab lunch after this delivery. Been skipping meals again. Old habit from paramedic days when you never knew when the next call would come. At least now, I can eat when I want to instead of scarfing down sandwiches between emergencies. This neighborhood used to be rougher. We ran a lot of calls here back in the day. Gang violence, drug overdoses, domestic disputes. Looks like it's gentrifying now. Not sure if that's good or bad. Cleaner streets, but probably displaced a lot of families who couldn't afford the rising rents. 23 years. 23 years of my life dedicated to that company, and they let me go in a 5-minute meeting. Budget cuts, they said. Nothing personal, they said. Last hired, first fired, except I wasn't last hired. I was there before half the management team was even born. Corner of 5th and Main. This is where GPS says to turn. Except there are 3 streets intersecting here, and none of them are clearly marked. City planning at its finest. 15 more minutes to the bridge. 15 minutes to the end of 23 years of corporate servitude and 51 years of mediocrity. Watch out. Hey, watch where you're going, buddy. You almost dropped those boxes right on my shoes. Sorry about that. These packages are heavier than they look. GPS had me completely turn around, and I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking. Are you headed somewhere important? Just got fired from my job this morning after 23 years of loyal service. 23 years of showing up every day, working overtime, missing family events, and they cut me loose because of budget constraints. Figured I'd walk around and clear my head before I do something really stupid. That's incredibly rough, man. 23 years? What kind of work were you doing? That's almost half a lifetime with one company. Senior accountant for a mid-sized manufacturing company. Started there right out of college. Worked my way up through every department. Thought I'd retire there, get the gold watch, have a pension. Stupid dreams, apparently. Companies have no loyalty anymore. It's all about quarterly profits and stock prices. But hey, maybe something better is waiting around the corner. Life has a funny way of surprising us when we least expect it. Easy for you to say. You seem to have your life together, running around with purpose and all that motivational poster garbage. Do you have any idea what it's like to lose everything in one morning? Trust me, I'm just a delivery guy trying to make ends meet. Nothing glamorous about driving around town, dropping off packages. Some days I wonder what I'm doing with my life too. We're probably more similar than you think. At least you have a job to complain about. At least you have income coming in every week, health insurance, a reason to get up every morning. Fair point. I shouldn't complain about having work when others are struggling to find any. That was insensitive of me. My wife left me 3 months ago. Said she couldn't handle my depression anymore. That watching me suffer was making her miserable too. Now I lost my job too. What's left? What's the point of continuing? I'm sorry to hear about your wife. Divorce is brutal even under good circumstances, let alone when you're already struggling with mental health. We were together for 18 years. Met in high school, dated through college, got married young with all these plans for the future. I thought we'd grow old together, but apparently I became too much of a burden. Depression is incredibly hard on relationships. It's not your fault that your brain chemistry makes things difficult. Have you been getting any professional help for it? Tried therapy for a while, but insurance doesn't cover much and I can't afford to pay out of pocket, especially now that I have no income and Cobra costs more than my rent. There are sliding scale clinics, community mental health centers, even online resources that don't cost anything. The help exists if you know where to look. Where to look when you're too depressed to get out of bed most days. When making phone calls feels like climbing mountains. I can help you find resources. Make some calls, do some research. You don't have to navigate the mental health system alone. Why would you do that for a complete stranger? What's in it for you? Maybe because I wish someone had offered to help me when I was drowning. Maybe because helping others is the only thing that's ever made me feel like my life had meaning. You said you left paramedic work because it was too emotionally demanding. Now you're offering to help someone with mental health crisis. Isn't that the same thing? It's different when it's one person instead of constant emergency calls. Different when I have time to process and it's not life or death every few minutes. Tell me about the worst call you ever had. What made you decide you couldn't do it anymore? That's not something I usually talk about with strangers. I just told you I'm planning to kill myself. I think we're past normal stranger boundaries. Fair point. It was a 7-year-old boy. Car accident. Family was driving to Disney World for vacation. Parents and older sister survived with minor injuries, but You don't have to finish if it's too painful. He didn't make it despite everything we tried. Advanced pediatric life support, helicopter transport, the best trauma team in the state. Sometimes medical intervention isn't enough. That's not your fault. You can't save everyone. Logically, I know that. But when you're holding a child who's the same age as your nephew, when you see parents transition from hope to despair in real time, how long after that did you quit? 3 months. Had nightmares every night, couldn't eat, started having panic attacks during routine calls. My partner said I was becoming a liability. Your partner sounds like a real sympathetic guy. He wasn't wrong, though. When you're too traumatized to function effectively, you put other people at risk. Paramedic work requires split-second decisions and steady hands. So you punish yourself for having normal human reactions to tragedy by giving up work you were good at? I found safer work that doesn't involve watching people die. That seems reasonable to me. Does it feel reasonable? Do you wake up every morning feeling good about delivering packages instead of saving lives? Most mornings I wake up grateful that nobody's life depends on my performance, that I can make mistakes without catastrophic consequences. But do you feel fulfilled? Do you go to bed feeling like you made a difference in the world? Fulfillment is a luxury when you're struggling with PTSD. Basic functioning and emotional stability take priority over career satisfaction. So we're both hiding from life. You're avoiding meaningful work because it's scary. I'm avoiding continued existence because it's painful. That's a pretty harsh way to put it, but maybe not entirely wrong. At least you're still trying. I've given up completely. You haven't given up. You're still here, still talking, still capable of insight about both our situations. I'm here because I bumped into you on my way to jump off a bridge. That's not perseverance. That's just delayed execution. But you stopped to talk. You didn't have to engage with me or share your story. Some part of you wants to keep going. Maybe some part of me is hoping you'll say something that changes my mind. But so far you haven't. What would change your mind? What would make life feel worth living again? Honestly, nothing I can think of. I've lost everything that gave my life structure and meaning. Job, wife, home, financial security, future prospects. Those are all external things. What about internal sources of meaning? Personal relationships, hobbies, beliefs, values? Personal relationships require other people who want to spend time with you. I've become toxic to be around. Even my own wife couldn't stand me anymore. Depression makes people withdraw and become difficult to be around. That doesn't mean you're fundamentally toxic or unlovable. What hobbies can you afford when you're facing eviction? What values matter when you can't provide for basic needs? Survival itself has value. The possibility that things could improve has value. The potential for new experiences and relationships has value. Potential doesn't pay rent. Hope doesn't buy groceries. I need concrete reasons to continue, not abstract philosophical concepts. What if I told you that I was planning to apply for paramedic positions again next month? That talking to you made me realize I miss helping people more than I fear the emotional risks? I'd say that's great for you, but it doesn't change my situation at all. What if I offered you a place to stay while you get back on your feet? My apartment has a couch, and I could use help with expenses. You don't know me well enough to make that kind of offer. I could be dangerous or unreliable or impossible to live with. You could be But you could also be someone who just needs a break and some support. I'm willing to take that chance. Why? What makes you think I'm worth the risk? The fact that you're still talking instead of walking away. The fact that you're thinking clearly enough to recognize both our situations accurately. The fact that you haven't given up completely yet. I had given up completely. Today was supposed to be my last day alive. But it's not over yet. You still have hours left to decide what today becomes. Hours to change my mind about ending decades of accumulated failure and disappointment. Hours to consider that maybe the story isn't over yet. That maybe today is a plot twist instead of a conclusion. Plot twist toward what? More unemployment, more rejection, more evidence that I'm worthless. Plot twist toward meeting someone who understands struggle and is willing to help. Toward discovering that you're not as alone as you thought. You really think one conversation with a stranger can override months of despair and hopelessness? I think human connection is powerful medicine. I think sometimes we need proof that good people still exist before we can believe life is worth living. Are you good people? You seem kind, but I don't really know you. I try to be good people. I make mistakes, I have my own problems, but I genuinely care about others and I try to help when I can. That's more than most people. Most people are too busy with their own lives to notice when someone is drowning. Maybe people notice more than you think. Maybe they just don't know how to help or what to say. Or maybe they don't want the responsibility of someone else's pain. It's easier to look away than to get involved. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes people surprise you with their capacity for compassion. Like you're surprising me right now by caring about someone you met 5 minutes ago. Like you're surprising me by being open to help despite feeling hopeless. That takes courage. It doesn't feel like courage. It feels like desperation. Sometimes desperation and courage look the same from the outside. Both require continuing when everything feels impossible. When was the last time you felt truly happy? Not just content or distracted, but genuinely happy to be alive? That's a heavy question to ask someone you just met on the street. But honestly, it's been a while. Probably before I changed careers 2 years ago. What did you do before deliveries? What made you happy that you don't have anymore? I was a paramedic. Emergency medical services. It was meaningful work, but the emotional toll eventually became unbearable. So, you left something that gave your life meaning because it was too emotionally demanding? That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense when you're having nightmares every night about the people you couldn't save. When you start questioning every decision you make because someone's life depends on getting it right. But at least you were making a difference. At least your work mattered to people. I spent 23 years pushing numbers around spreadsheets. Your work mattered too. Companies need people who understand finances, who can keep track of money and budgets. That's important infrastructure for the economy. Infrastructure that can be eliminated with budget cuts. Infrastructure that can be replaced by software or outsourced to someone younger who will work for half the salary. The same thing happened to me, in a way. I eliminated myself from a job I was good at because I couldn't handle the psychological pressure anymore. Do you regret leaving? Do you miss the adrenaline and the sense of purpose? Every day, but I also remember why I left, and on bad days, I still think I made the right choice for my mental health. Mental health is a luxury when you can't afford actual health. When you're facing homelessness and starvation, depression becomes a secondary concern. That's not true. Mental health affects everything else. Your ability to find work, maintain relationships, make good decisions about your future. Future? What future? I'm 51 years old with no savings, no job, and no family. What kind of future does someone like me have? The same kind of future anyone has. Uncertain, but full of possibilities. Age 51 isn't the end of anything. You have decades left to build something new. Build something new with what resources? With what energy? With what support system? You're talking about starting over when I'm already exhausted from failing the first time. I hear what you're saying. It feels impossible when you're in the middle of it. But impossible things happen every day. People reinvent themselves, find new careers, build new relationships. When was the last time you reinvented yourself? When was the last time you took your own advice about new possibilities? Touché. I've been stuck in my own rut for 2 years, doing safe work that doesn't challenge or fulfill me. Maybe we're both afraid of taking risks. The difference is you have options. You could go back to paramedic work tomorrow if you wanted to. I can't magically become 25 again or erase 23 years of specialized experience that's apparently worthless now. Your experience isn't worthless. Maybe it's not valued by one company that made budget cuts, but that doesn't mean it has no value anywhere else. I've applied to 47 positions in 2 months. 3 interviews, 0 offers. The market has spoken pretty clearly about my value. The job market is brutal right now for everyone. Rejection doesn't reflect your worth as a person or even your qualifications for the work. Easy to say when you're employed. Easy to be philosophical about rejection when you're not facing eviction next month. You're right. I'm in a privileged position to give advice about a situation I'm not currently experiencing. That's unfair of me. I wasn't trying to shut you down. It's just frustrating when people minimize the reality of what financial desperation actually feels like. I get it, and I wasn't trying to minimize anything. Sometimes I default to trying to help people feel better instead of just acknowledging that their situation genuinely sucks. It does genuinely suck. And the worst part is feeling like it's somehow my fault, like I should have seen the layoffs coming, or saved more money, or chosen a different career path. None of this is your fault. Companies make decisions based on profits, not employee loyalty or performance. You couldn't have predicted or prevented this. Logically, I know that. Emotionally, it feels like I failed at the most basic requirement of adult life, providing for myself and my family. You provided for your family for 18 years and for yourself for 23 years at that company. That's not failure. That's success until circumstances beyond your control changed. Then why does it feel like failure? Why does everything feel hopeless and pointless? Because depression lies to you. It tells you that temporary situations are permanent, that setbacks are character flaws, that you're worthless when you're actually just struggling. How do you know so much about depression? Personal experience or professional training? Both. Paramedic training includes mental health crisis intervention, and I've dealt with my own episodes over the years. What got you through the worst times? What made you want to keep going when everything felt pointless? Honestly, sometimes it was just stubbornness, refusing to let the depression win. Other times it was small things, a good conversation, helping someone, seeing a beautiful sunset. I used to find comfort in small things, but lately even beautiful weather or good food feels empty, like I'm just going through the motions of being alive. That's textbook depression symptoms. It doesn't mean the feelings are permanent or that you'll never enjoy things again. It means your brain chemistry needs support. Support that costs money I don't have and requires insurance I can't afford. There are sliding scale clinics, community mental health centers, even online resources that don't cost anything. The help exists if you know where to look. Where to look when you're too depressed to get out of bed most days. When making phone calls feels like climbing mountains. I could help you find resources. Make some calls, do some research. You don't have to navigate the mental health system alone. Why would you do that for a complete stranger? What's in it for you? Maybe because I wish someone had offered to help me when I was drowning. Maybe because helping others is the only thing that's ever made me feel like my life had meaning. You said you left paramedic work because it was too emotionally demanding. Now you're offering to help someone with mental health crisis. Isn't that the same thing? It's different when it's one person instead of constant emergency calls. Different when I have time to process and it's not life or death every few minutes. Tell me about the worst call you ever had. What made you decide you couldn't do it anymore? That's not something I usually talk about with strangers. I just told you I'm planning to kill myself. I think we're past normal stranger boundaries. Fair point. It was a 7-year-old boy. Car accident. Family was driving to Disney World for vacation. Parents and older sister survived with minor injuries, but You don't have to finish if it's too painful. He didn't make it despite everything we tried. Advanced pediatric life support, helicopter transport, the best trauma team in the state. Sometimes medical intervention isn't enough. That's not your fault. You can't save everyone. Logically, I know that. But when you're holding a child who's the same age as your nephew, when you see parents transition from hope to despair in real time. How long after that did you quit? 3 months. Had nightmares every night, couldn't eat, started having panic attacks during routine calls. My partner said I was becoming a liability. Your partner sounds like a real sympathetic guy. He wasn't wrong though. When you're too traumatized to function effectively, you put other people at risk. Paramedic work requires split-second decisions and steady hands. So you punish yourself for having normal human reactions to tragedy by giving up work you were good at? I found safer work that doesn't involve watching people die. That seems reasonable to me. Does it feel reasonable? Do you wake up every morning feeling good about delivering packages instead of saving lives? Most mornings I wake up grateful that nobody's life depends on my performance, that I can make mistakes without catastrophic consequences. But do you feel fulfilled? Do you go to bed feeling like you made a difference in the world? Fulfillment is a luxury when you're struggling with PTSD. Basic functioning and emotional stability take priority over career satisfaction. So we're both hiding from life. You're avoiding meaningful work because it's scary. I'm avoiding continued existence because it's painful. That's a pretty harsh way to put it, but maybe not entirely wrong. At least you're still trying. I've given up completely. You haven't given up. You're still here, still talking, still capable of insight about both our situations. I'm here because I bumped into you on my way to jump off a bridge. That's not perseverance. That's just delayed execution. But you stopped to talk. You didn't have to engage with me or share your story. Some part of you wants to keep going. Maybe some part of me is hoping you'll say something that changes my mind. But so far you haven't. What would change your mind? What would make life feel worth living again? Honestly, nothing I can think of. I've lost everything that gave my life structure and meaning. Job, wife, home, financial security, future prospects. Those are all external things. What about internal sources of meaning? Personal relationships, hobbies, beliefs, values? Personal relationships require other people who want to spend time with you. I've become toxic to be around. Even my own wife couldn't stand me anymore. Depression makes people withdraw and become difficult to be around. That doesn't mean you're fundamentally toxic or unlovable. What hobbies can you afford when you're facing eviction? What values matter when you can't provide for basic needs? Survival itself has value. The possibility that things could improve has value. The potential for new experiences and relationships has value. Potential doesn't pay rent. Hope doesn't buy groceries. I need concrete reasons to continue, not abstract philosophical concepts. What if I told you that I was planning to apply for paramedic positions again next month. That talking to you made me realize I miss helping people more than I fear the emotional risks. I'd say that's great for you, but it doesn't change my situation at all. What if I offered you a place to stay while you get back on your feet? My apartment has a couch, and I could use help with expenses. You don't know me well enough to make that kind of offer. I could be dangerous or unreliable or impossible to live with. You could be, but you could also be someone who just needs a break and some support. I'm willing to take that chance. Why? What makes you think I'm worth the risk? The fact that you're still talking instead of walking away. The fact that you're thinking clearly enough to recognize both our situations accurately. The fact that you haven't given up completely yet. I had given up completely. Today was supposed to be my last day alive. But it's not over yet. You still have hours left to decide what today becomes. Hours to change my mind about ending decades of accumulated failure and disappointment. Hours to consider that maybe the story isn't over yet. That maybe today is a plot twist instead of a conclusion. Plot twist toward what? More unemployment, more rejection, more evidence that I'm worthless. Plot twist toward meeting someone who understands struggle and is willing to help. Toward discovering that you're not as alone as you thought. You really think one conversation with a stranger can override months of despair and hopelessness? I think human connection is powerful medicine. I think sometimes we need proof that good people still exist before we can believe life is worth living. Are you good people? You seem kind, but I don't really know you. I try to be good people. I make mistakes, I have my own problems, but I genuinely care about others, and I try to help when I can. That's more than most people. Most people are too busy with their own lives to notice when someone is drowning. Maybe people notice more than you think. Maybe they just don't know how to help or what to say. Or maybe they don't want the responsibility of someone else's pain. It's easier to look away than to get involved. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes people surprise you with their capacity for compassion. Like you're surprising me right now by caring about someone you met 5 minutes ago. Like you're surprising me by being open to help despite feeling hopeless. That takes courage. It doesn't feel like courage. It feels like desperation. Sometimes desperation and courage look the same from the outside. Both require continuing when everything feels impossible. So we're all walking together now. This feels nice, actually. I spend most of my workday alone in the truck.
Company makes everything better. I've been doing so many errands alone lately because my husband's work schedule is crazy during this project.
What does your husband do for work? You mentioned he's protective but busy.
Construction management. He's overseeing a big commercial project downtown that's been consuming 12-hour days for weeks.
Construction is demanding work. Physical, mental, and time-consuming. No wonder he worries when you're out running errands. How long have you been married? You seem like you have a really solid relationship.
For years in October. We met at a friend's wedding, which sounds like a romantic comedy setup, but actually happened.
Wedding meetings do sound like movie scenarios. Was it love at first sight, or did it develop gradually?
Definitely gradual. He seemed nice, but I was dating someone else at the time. We became friends first, then more after my previous relationship ended.
Friends first is probably the best foundation for marriage. You actually know and like each other as people. My parents were friends for years before they started dating. They always said it made the transition to romance easier.
That's exactly how it felt. No pressure, no games, just genuine enjoyment of each other's company that evolved into love.
My marriage started with intense attraction and chemistry. Maybe that's why it didn't last when real life got difficult. Different foundations work for different people. Chemistry is important, but it's probably not enough by itself long term.
We definitely have chemistry, but we also genuinely like spending time together. Even boring errands are more fun when we're both doing them.
That sounds ideal. My ex and I started avoiding spending time together toward the end. Everything felt like work. Relationships take effort, but they shouldn't feel like constant work. There should be natural ease and enjoyment too.
Even during my worst pregnancy symptoms, he makes me laugh. That's probably a good sign for long-term compatibility.
Humor is crucial. Life is too hard without someone to laugh with about the absurdity of it all. Shared humor probably gets couples through more challenges than anything else. Being able to find lightness in dark times.
What about you two? Any romantic relationships, or are you both focusing on other things right now?
I've been too focused on career uncertainty to invest in dating seriously. Seems unfair to bring someone into my confusion. Recently divorced, recently unemployed, recently depressed. Not exactly prime dating material at the moment.
Both of those are temporary situations, though. People go through transitional periods all the time.
True, but it's hard to be a good partner when you're still figuring out who you are and what you want. Plus, dating requires energy and optimism that I just don't have right now. Better to work on myself first.
Self-awareness is actually very attractive. Knowing what you need to work on shows maturity.
I haven't thought about it that way. Maybe being honest about personal growth is better than pretending everything is perfect. My ex always complained that I didn't work on myself or address my problems. Maybe she had a point.
Growth happens at different paces for different people. Sometimes it takes a crisis to motivate real change.
This conversation is definitely motivating me to think about changes I've been avoiding for 2 years. Same here. I've been wallowing instead of taking action. Today feels like a turning point somehow.
Sometimes we need external perspective to see possibilities we've been blind to.
3 strangers becoming friends over the span of 20 minutes. That doesn't happen every day. Maybe it happens more often than we notice. Maybe we're usually too distracted or hurried to recognize these moments.
I almost took an Uber to the pharmacy today. If I had, we never would have met.
And I almost took a different route to avoid traffic. Small decisions that led to this conversation. I almost went straight to the bridge instead of walking through downtown. Tiny choices with huge consequences.
It makes you think about fate versus coincidence. Whether some meetings are meant to happen.
Whether we believe in fate or not, we're here now having this conversation that feels important to all of us. Important enough that I'm not thinking about suicide for the first time in weeks.
That's huge progress. Human connection really is powerful medicine.
And I'm thinking about going back to meaningful work instead of hiding in safe but unfulfilling jobs. We're all inspiring each other to be braver than we were an hour ago.
This baby is going to be born into a world where good things like this still happen. That makes me feel hopeful.
Your child is going to have an amazing origin story about the day their parents met 3 strangers who became family. Family. That's a word I haven't used in a while, but this does feel like chosen family forming.
Chosen family is sometimes stronger than biological family because it's based on genuine connection rather than obligation.
I like that concept. People who choose to care about each other despite having no legal or blood ties. People who show up for each other because they want to, not because they have to.
You've both shown up for me today in ways I didn't even know I needed. That feels like family.
You've both shown up for me too. Made me feel less alone and more hopeful about my future. You've literally saved my life by giving me reasons to reconsider ending it. That's the definition of family.
We should make this official somehow. Exchange contact information. Make plans to stay in touch.
I like that very much. I don't have many close friends, and I feel closer to both of you than people I've known for years. Same here. Most of my friendships evaporated when my marriage ended. People take sides or just drift away from complicated situations.
Real friends stick around during complicated times. Fair weather friends disappear when life gets messy.
You both seem like the kind of people who stick around and support each other through difficulties. I want to be that kind of person. I want to be someone you can count on instead of someone who drags others down.
You already are that person. You've been nothing but supportive and insightful during this entire conversation.
Depression lies to you about your worth and value. The truth is you're both wonderful people going through temporary hard times. It's easier to believe that when someone else says it. Self-compassion is much harder than compassion for others.
That's so true. I can encourage friends through anything, but I'm incredibly hard on myself about small mistakes.
We should practice giving ourselves the same kindness we'd give a friend in the same situation. What would you tell a friend who lost their job and was considering suicide? I'd tell them that temporary setbacks don't define their worth, that new opportunities exist, and that their life has value beyond their employment status.
And I'd tell them that people care about them and want to help them through the difficult period.
You're both right. I need to start talking to myself the way I'd talk to someone I care about who's struggling. That's really good advice for all of us. Self-compassion as a practice rather than self-criticism as a habit.
This baby is going to grow up hearing about the day Mommy met two people who taught her about self-compassion and chosen family.
And about the day I decided to choose life because strangers showed me that connection and hope still exist. And about the day I remembered why helping people matters more than protecting myself from emotional risk.
We're all going to remember this day for the rest of our lives.
The day 3 strangers became family. The day everything changed for the better.
The day we learned that beautiful things can grow from random encounters.
Look, we're almost at the pharmacy. I can't believe we've been walking and talking for this long.
Time flies when you're having meaningful conversations with people you genuinely enjoy.
I feel more energized and hopeful than I have in months. That's the power of real human connection. I feel the same way, like I've been sleepwalking through life for 2 years, and I'm finally waking up.
Sometimes we need other people to remind us who we really are underneath our circumstances and struggles.
You've both reminded me that I'm more than my job loss and divorce, that I have value as a person independent of external situations. And you've both reminded me that avoiding meaningful work doesn't protect me from pain, it just prevents me from purpose.
And you've both reminded me that pregnancy doesn't have to be isolating, that community can form anywhere when people are open to it.
We should definitely make plans to meet regularly, maybe weekly coffee or monthly dinners. I'd love that. Having something to look forward to would give me motivation to keep working on getting my life back together.
Count me in.
And when the baby comes, you'll both be honorary aunts and uncles.
That sounds perfect. I've always wanted to be involved in a child's life, but never had the opportunity. I regret never having kids, but being an honorary uncle to yours sounds like a wonderful consolation.
This baby is going to be so lucky to have such caring, thoughtful people involved in their life from the beginning.
Here we are at the pharmacy. This feels like the end of one chapter and the beginning of another.
The beginning of our friendship story.
The beginning of my comeback story. The beginning of my return to meaningful work story.
Should we wait here while I get the vitamins? I don't want to end this conversation yet.
Absolutely. I can wait a few more minutes before my next delivery. I have nowhere else to be anyway, and I'm not ready for this feeling of hope and connection to end.
Perfect.
I'll be quick.
Don't go anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. This is just getting started. The best things in life are just getting started. Started there right out of college with a business degree and dreams of working my way up the corporate ladder. Thought I'd be CFO by now, maybe even CEO of my own company. Instead, I'm 51 years old with no job, no savings, and no prospects. Sarah left 3 months ago, said she couldn't watch me sink into depression anymore, that I was bringing her down with me. 18 years of marriage, gone because I couldn't fake being happy when everything was falling apart. We met in high school, got married young, never had kids because we were always waiting for the right time, the right financial situation, the right house, the right moment in our careers. Now I realize there is no right time. There's just time, and we wasted all of ours. She took the dog when she left. Rex was the only thing in that house that was genuinely happy to see me every day. Now I come home to silence and empty rooms full of furniture we picked out together. Therapist says I need to find purpose beyond work and marriage. Easy to say when you have a job and someone who loves you. Hard to implement when you're staring at want ads for positions that pay half what you used to make. Applied to 47 jobs in the past 2 months. Got 3 interviews, no offers. They all want someone younger, more energetic, more adaptable to new technology. Apparently, 23 years of experience doesn't matter if you're not a digital native. Insurance ran out last week. Cobra is too expensive without income. So much for continuing therapy or getting medication for the depression. Free clinics have waiting lists months long. Mom calls every Sunday to check on me, but I can't bring myself to tell her how bad things really are. She's 83 and has enough health problems without worrying about her failure of son. Bridge is 15 minutes from here. 15 minutes to walk to the end of everything. No more rejection letters. No more empty apartment. No more pretending everything will get better when clearly it won't. Read somewhere that jumping is quick. Few seconds of falling, then nothing. Better than years of struggling to find work. Struggling to pay bills. Struggling to remember what happiness felt like. Should probably write a note, but what's the point? Sarah has already moved on, probably dating someone younger with better prospects. Mom will grieve for a while, but she'll understand eventually. Nobody at work will miss me. They prove that by eliminating my position without warning. Neighbors don't know my name after 5 years in the same apartment building. Rex probably won't even remember me. Maybe this is just how some lives end. Not with achievement or fulfillment, but with quiet desperation and the realization that you never really mattered to anyone. Sold everything valuable last month to pay rent. Wedding ring, watch Dad gave me for graduation, Sarah's grandmother's china set she forgot when she moved out. Pawn shop owner looked at me with pity, which somehow made it worse. Unemployment benefits run out next month. After that, it's food banks and homeless shelters until I get evicted. Middle class life to street life in 6 months. The American dream in reverse. Used to think suicide was selfish, cowardly. Now I understand it's sometimes just practical. When the pain of living exceeds your capacity to cope, what else is there? Bridge has a fence, but it's not that high. Security cameras probably don't work anyway. City budget cuts affect everything, including suicide prevention infrastructure. Strange what you think about in your final hour. Not achievements or regrets, just logistics. How long it takes to walk there, whether anyone will try to stop me, what happens to the body afterward. Maybe I should grab coffee first. Seems wrong to end things on an empty stomach. Plus it might give me time to change my mind, though I can't imagine what would make that happen. Sarah used to say I was too negative, that I could find the dark side of winning the lottery. She wasn't wrong. Even good news felt temporary, like the universe was setting me up for bigger disappointments. Childhood wasn't bad. Middle-class family, good schools, college education. No trauma or abuse to explain why I turned out this way. Just a regular person who somehow failed at the basic requirements of adult life. Funny how invisible you become when you're struggling. People avoid eye contact, conversations get awkward, invitations stop coming. Like failure is contagious, and they might catch it from being too close. Maybe in another life, I made different choices, took more risks, changed careers earlier, fought harder for my marriage. But this is the only life I get, and I've clearly wasted it. Sorry about that. These packages are heavier than they look. Are you headed somewhere important? Just got fired from my job this morning. 23 years of loyal service, and they cut me loose because of budget constraints. Figured I'd walk around and clear my head before I do something really stupid. That's incredibly rough, man. 23 years? What kind of work were you doing? Accounting for a mid-sized manufacturing company. Started there right out of college. Worked my way up to senior accountant. Thought I'd retire there. Companies have no loyalty anymore. But hey, maybe something better is waiting around the corner. Life has a funny way of surprising us when we least expect it. Easy for you to say. You seem to have your life together, running around with purpose and all that motivational poster garbage. Trust me, I'm just a delivery guy trying to make ends meet. Nothing glamorous about driving around town, dropping off packages. Some days I wonder what I'm doing with my life. At least you have a job to complain about. At least you have income coming in every week. Fair point. I shouldn't complain about having work when others are struggling to find any. My wife left me 3 months ago. Said she couldn't handle my depression anymore. Now I lost my job too. What's left? I'm sorry to hear about your wife. Divorce is brutal even under good circumstances. We were together for 18 years. High school sweethearts. I thought we'd grow old together, but apparently I became too much of a burden. Depression is hard on relationships. Have you been getting any help for it? Tried therapy for a while, but insurance doesn't cover much and I can't afford to pay out of pocket. Especially now. There are community resources available. Free counseling services, support groups. You don't have to go through this alone. Support groups are just a bunch of people sitting around complaining about their problems. How does that help anyone? Sometimes it helps to know you're not the only one struggling. Sometimes hearing how others cope gives you new ideas. You sound like you've been through some tough times yourself. Everyone has their battles. Some are just more visible than others. What's your story then? Why is a guy who gives good advice driving a delivery truck instead of being a counselor or something? Long story. Maybe I'll tell you sometime when we have more time and fewer packages to deliver.
Excuse me, could you help me? I'm looking for the nearest pharmacy. I've been walking for 20 minutes and I'm getting really tired. My feet are absolutely killing me, and I think I might be completely lost in this part of town.
There's one 3 blocks down on Maple Street, right next to the coffee shop with the blue awning. But are you feeling all right? You look a bit pale and you're breathing pretty heavily.
I'm probably fine, just need to pick up some prenatal vitamins. Doctor's orders for my appointment this morning. I ran out yesterday and completely forgot to refill the prescription until my husband reminded me.
Congratulations on the pregnancy. How far along are you? My ex-wife went through this twice, so I remember all the different stages and challenges.
7 months as of last week. Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying a bowling ball that keeps shifting around and putting pressure on everything. Actually, more like a bowling ball that never stops moving.
My sister went through the same thing during her pregnancy. She said the 3rd trimester was definitely the toughest part of the whole experience. Constant back pain, swollen ankles, difficulty sleeping.
Your sister sounds very wise. This little one has been keeping me up practically all night with the kicking and rolling around. Last night felt like there was an entire soccer match happening inside my belly.
Maybe the baby's going to be a professional athlete when they grow up. You should start saving up for soccer cleats and sports equipment now.
That's exactly what my husband keeps saying every time I complain about the movement. He's already planning to buy tiny soccer cleats and a miniature jersey with the baby's name on it. He's completely convinced it's going to be a boy.
Do you know the gender? Or are you waiting for a surprise at delivery?
We decided to wait and find out at birth. Old-fashioned approach, I know, but we want that magical moment in the delivery room when the doctor announces whether it's a boy or a girl.
That's actually really sweet and romantic. There aren't many genuine surprises left in life anymore, with all the technology and testing available.
Plus, it makes picking out names exactly twice as complicated as it needs to be. We have two completely different lists going, and we can't seem to agree on anything from either one.
What kind of names are you considering? More traditional family names or contemporary unique choices?
I'm drawn to traditional names with history and meaning behind them. Names that have been used for generations and have stood the test of time. He prefers more unique, contemporary choices that stand out and sound modern.
Marriage is all about compromise, especially when it comes to major decisions. Maybe you could pick one traditional and one modern for the first and middle names.
That's actually not a bad suggestion. I should bring that idea up to him tonight when we discuss the lists again. Are either of you married or have children of your own?
Not married, no kids yet. Been focusing on trying to figure out my career situation and what direction I want my life to go in. How about you, besides the obvious? Was married for 18 years until 3 months ago. No kids though, unfortunately. We kept saying we'd start trying to conceive next year, and somehow next year never came around.
I'm really sorry to hear about your marriage ending. Sometimes timing just doesn't work out the way we plan, and hope it will, no matter how hard we try.
That's definitely the story of my life lately. Everything I thought was permanent and stable turned out to be temporary and fragile. Change is incredibly difficult and painful, but also creates opportunities for new experiences. You might discover something you never knew you wanted.
This pregnancy definitely wasn't planned at all, but now I can't imagine my life without this little person growing inside me. It's funny how the unexpected things sometimes become the most meaningful.
Maybe unplanned things turn out better specifically because we don't have unrealistic expectations or pressure attached to them from the beginning. That's actually pretty profound wisdom. Most of the best and most important things in my life happened when I wasn't actively trying to make them happen or force them.
Speaking of unplanned things, I should probably call my husband and let him know I'm running late with this errand. He starts to worry when I'm out alone for too long, especially lately.
Sounds like he's a really good guy. Protective and caring, but not controlling or possessive.
He's absolutely wonderful, and I'm incredibly lucky to have him. Sometimes I think he's even more excited about this baby than I am, if that's even humanly possible.
First-time dad nerves and excitement. My brother-in-law was a complete emotional wreck during my sister's entire pregnancy. Couldn't sleep, kept reading parenting books and baby websites obsessively.
That sounds very familiar to our situation. Our coffee table is completely covered with pregnancy magazines, parenting books, and baby gear catalogs. He highlights important sections for me to read.
You're really lucky to have someone who cares that much and is so involved. You should cherish that kind of partnership and support.
I do appreciate it every single day, even when he drives me absolutely crazy with his overprotectiveness and constant hovering and questions about how I'm feeling.
Overprotective is definitely better than indifferent or absent. Trust me on that one from personal experience.
You sound like you're speaking from some kind of personal experience with that observation.
Let's just say I've learned to appreciate people who show they care, even when they're occasionally annoying about how they express that care. I wish my ex-wife had been more overprotective and involved instead of just emotionally checked out and distant toward the end of our marriage.
Relationships are incredibly complicated. We're all just doing our best with limited information and way too many emotions involved in every decision.
That might honestly be the most accurate and honest thing anyone has ever said about relationships and marriage. Mind if I quote you on that wisdom sometime?
Feel free to use it anywhere you want. I've had 7 months of pregnancy to think deeply about life, relationships, and what really matters while growing a human being.
Pregnancy wisdom should definitely be a thing. Expecting mothers giving life advice and philosophical insights to the rest of us who are struggling to figure things out.
I really like that idea. We definitely have a unique perspective on priorities and what's truly important in life versus what we think matters but really doesn't.
Having something completely dependent on you for survival probably changes your perspective on everything pretty quickly and dramatically.
Instantly and completely. Suddenly, every single decision I make affects someone else who has no choice in the matter. It's simultaneously terrifying and absolutely amazing.
That kind of responsibility sounds overwhelming, but also like it would give life real meaning and purpose in a way nothing else could.
It absolutely does. Even on my worst days when I'm tired or uncomfortable or worried, I know I'm growing someone who's going to experience all the wonderful things this world has to offer.
That's such a beautiful way to think about pregnancy and parenthood, creating a whole new person who gets to discover everything for the first time. It makes my personal problems seem pretty small and insignificant in comparison. You're literally creating new life and bringing someone into existence.
We all create and influence life in different ways, though. You probably touch and affect more lives than you realize through your daily work and relationships and interactions.
She's absolutely right about that. Every single interaction we have with other people shapes their day in some way, even in small ways we might not notice. I honestly never thought about ordinary life that way. Even casual conversations like this one we're having might actually matter to someone in ways we don't realize.
Absolutely they do. You both have already made my walk more enjoyable and interesting. That's creating positivity and goodness in the world.
See? You're already making the world a better place just by being kind and thoughtful to complete strangers you happen to meet. Maybe there's more purpose and meaning in regular everyday life than I thought. Maybe I don't need some grand mission or calling to make a difference.
Small kindnesses and ordinary interactions definitely add up over time. My grandmother always used to say that ordinary people doing ordinary things with love and intention change the world.
Your grandmother sounds like she was a very wise and insightful woman with a lot of life experience.
She really was incredible. I hope and pray I can pass some of her wisdom and values along to this little one when they arrive.
With a mother like you who thinks so deeply about life and relationships, this kid is definitely going to grow up with excellent values and perspective.
That's certainly the goal, though I'm absolutely terrified I'll somehow mess it all up and make terrible parenting mistakes that damage them.
Every good parent worries about exactly that. The fact that you care so much about doing right by your child means you're already on the right track. Plus, children are remarkably resilient and forgiving. They tend to love their parents unconditionally regardless of mistakes and imperfections.
That's what my mother keeps telling me when I express these fears. She says I turned out just fine despite all the parenting mistakes she thinks she made.
Mothers are usually much harder on themselves than they need to be when it comes to evaluating their parenting abilities.
That's probably true. I should give myself more credit and worry less about achieving some impossible standard of perfection.
Perfect is completely overrated anyway. authentic and genuine is much more valuable and meaningful in the long run.
I really like that philosophy. I want to raise someone who's authentic and real rather than someone who's trying to be perfect all the time.
The world definitely needs more authentic people who are comfortable being themselves. Too many people are trying to be someone they're not. Speaking of being authentic, I should probably admit that talking to both of you has made me feel better than I have in months.
Sometimes we all need reminders that genuinely good people still exist in the world. You both seem like caring, thoughtful individuals.
Human connection and community is healing in ways we don't always recognize. We're not meant to go through life completely alone and isolated. I've been isolating myself ever since my wife left. Maybe that's been a significant part of the problem with my mental health.
Isolation definitely makes everything worse and more difficult. Even small positive interactions like this conversation can shift your entire perspective for the better.
Community and belonging are essential human needs. Even informal community, like three strangers having a meaningful conversation on the street corner. This feels like much more than just a casual conversation to me. This feels important and meaningful somehow.
I completely agree. Sometimes I think the universe puts people in your path exactly when you need them most.
Whether you believe in fate or coincidence, meaningful connections definitely happen when we're open and receptive to them. I haven't been open to much of anything lately, but today feels different in a way I can't explain.
Different in a good way, I hope.
Definitely in a good way. You've both given me hope that life can surprise you positively when you least expect it. Life is absolutely full of unexpected plot twists. The story isn't over until it's actually over.
And even when you think you know exactly where the story is going, unexpected chapters can change everything completely.
Maybe I need to stop trying to write the ending myself and just see what the next chapter brings. That's probably excellent advice for all of us in different ways.
I really should get moving toward that pharmacy before it gets much later in the day. But this conversation has been exactly what I needed today.
Same here. Thank you both for reminding me that good conversations with genuinely good people are still possible in this world. Take good care of yourself and that baby. The world is getting ready to meet someone very special.
You're incredibly sweet to say that. I hope you both have wonderful rest of your days.
Actually, would it be weird if I walked in the same direction as you? I was just wandering aimlessly anyway, but now I feel like I should do something productive with my time. Not weird at all. I'm headed that direction anyway with these delivery packages.
I'd actually enjoy the company. Walking alone while pregnant sometimes makes me a little nervous, especially in parts of town I don't know well.
Emergency services. We need an ambulance at the corner of 5th and Oak Street immediately. A pregnant woman has collapsed, and she's unconscious.
What happened? I heard someone screaming from across the street. Is she okay?
A woman just collapsed on the sidewalk. She's pregnant and completely unconscious. I don't know if she hit her head when she fell.
Oh my goodness. Is she breathing? Should I call for more help?
I already called 911, but they said it might take a while because of traffic. I can see her chest moving, so she's breathing, but it looks shallow. I saw her fall. She was just talking to us a minute ago about picking up vitamins and feeling tired. She seemed fine, just a little winded. We need to do something. I took a first aid course years ago when I started my job, but I'm not sure what to do with a pregnant woman. The ambulance is on its way, but dispatch said it might take 10 to 15 minutes. Traffic is crazy downtown today because of some construction project. 10 to 15 minutes might be too long. She's been unconscious for almost 2 minutes already.
Should we try to wake her up? Maybe splash some water on her face? I have a water bottle in my purse.
No, that's not safe for someone who's unconscious. We need to check if she's breathing properly and make sure her airway is clear first. I can hear her breathing, but it sounds really shallow and irregular. Her pulse feels weak too, and her skin is getting pale. We should turn her on her left side. I remember my sister's doctor mentioning something about blood flow to the baby during pregnancy complications.
You seem to know what you're doing. Are you a medical professional, or do you have training?
No medical training. I just pay attention when people talk about important stuff. My sister had complications during her pregnancy, and I learned a lot from her experience. Her lips are starting to turn blue. That can't be good. That means she's not getting enough oxygen. The emergency operator told me to elevate her legs to help with blood flow, but I'm worried about moving her too much in case she has a spinal injury. We need to be careful with her neck and spine, but getting blood flow back to her brain is more important right now than worrying about theoretical injuries.
Here, I have a jacket we can put under her legs to elevate them. Will that help?
The operator said to raise them about 6 inches if possible, and to make sure nothing is blocking her breathing. Her breathing is definitely getting worse. The pauses between breaths are getting longer. We need to do something more aggressive. I'm going to check if anything is blocking her airway. Help me tilt her head back gently, but support her neck. Be careful. You could make things worse if you don't know what you're doing.
Do you think she choked on something? She was talking normally just a few minutes ago.
Sometimes pregnant women faint because of blood pressure changes or blood sugar issues. But we need to make sure she can breathe properly. What if she has a medical condition we don't know about? What if moving her is dangerous? Sometimes you have to take calculated risks to save a life. I'd rather try to help and potentially make a mistake than watch someone die, because I was too scared to act. The operator is asking if anyone on scene has medical training. Should I tell them about your sister's experience? Tell them we have someone with basic first aid knowledge doing airway management. That's all they need to know right now.
Her color is getting a little better already. You did something right.
The blue tint in her lips is fading. That's a good sign, right? Her breathing sounds deeper now, too. Not as labored as it was a minute ago. Good. Now we need to monitor her closely and make sure she doesn't go into shock.
How do we check for shock? What are the signs we should be looking for?
Rapid pulse, clammy skin, low blood pressure. But I don't know how to check blood pressure without equipment. Her pulse is still weak, but it's more regular now. Her skin temperature feels normal, not cold and clammy. The operator wants to know if she's responsive to voice or touch. Should I try talking to her? Try calling her name loudly and see if she responds. Don't shake her, just use your voice. Ma'am, can you hear me? You're safe. Help is coming. Can you open your eyes?
I don't see any response. Her eyelids aren't even fluttering.
How long has she been unconscious now? It feels like forever, but I know time moves differently in emergencies. Probably about 4 minutes. That's concerning, but not immediately dangerous if she's breathing well. The operator says to keep monitoring her breathing and pulse. They're trying to get an ambulance here faster.
Where did you learn to do that airway thing? That looked like you knew exactly what you were doing.
I used to be a paramedic before I switched careers. Old habits die hard, I guess. Why didn't you mention that earlier? We could have saved precious time if we knew you had professional training. A paramedic? That explains why you stayed so calm and knew exactly what to do. I left that life behind for a reason. Too much stress, too many lives in my hands every day. I couldn't handle the pressure anymore.
But you just saved her life. Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't it remind you why you became a paramedic in the first place?
It does feel good to help someone. But I also remember all the people I couldn't save, all the families I had to give bad news to. Every job has bad days, but look what you just accomplished. You gave this woman and her baby a chance to survive. I don't understand how you could walk away from something you're clearly so good at. Burnout is real. When you see too much trauma and death, it changes you. I needed to find peace and stability. But maybe this is a sign that you're ready to go back. Maybe you've had enough time to heal from whatever made you leave.
The world needs good paramedics. People who care and know what they're doing.
You probably saved more lives during your career than most people even touch during theirs. I appreciate what you're all saying, but it's complicated. The emotional toll of emergency medicine is enormous. What if you ease back into it? Maybe volunteer work or part-time consulting.
Or teaching. You could train the next generation of paramedics and share your knowledge.
Just promise us you'll think about it. The world is a better place when people use their talents to help others. I promise I'll consider it. But right now, let's focus on making sure she's okay. Her breathing is definitely more stable now. The color in her face looks much better too.
How much longer until the ambulance arrives? She needs professional medical attention.
The operator said they're about 3 minutes away now. Traffic cleared up a little. 3 minutes feels manageable. She seems stable enough to wait that long. Keep monitoring her pulse and breathing. If either one changes significantly, we might need to take additional action. What kind of additional action? What else can we do without medical equipment? If her breathing stops, we need to do rescue breathing. If her heart stops, CPR, but that's more complicated with pregnancy.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. She seems to be holding steady right now.
I can't believe how quickly everything changed. 1 minute we're having a nice conversation, the next minute it's a medical emergency. That's how life works sometimes. Everything can change in an instant. Makes you appreciate normal, boring moments when everyone is healthy and safe.
And it makes you grateful for people who know how to help when things go wrong.
I feel completely useless in this situation. I wish I had medical training like you. You're not useless. You called for help, you're providing support, you're staying calm. That's all valuable. He's right. Emergency response is a team effort. Everyone has a role to play.
Plus, your presence is comforting. She's not alone, even though she's unconscious.
Do you think she can hear us talking? Do unconscious people know what's happening around them? Sometimes. It varies. But talking to her calmly and letting her know she's safe can't hurt. I've been telling her that help is coming and that she's going to be okay. I hope that's true.
It is true. She's going to be fine because you acted quickly and got the right help.
And because she's strong. Carrying a baby for 7 months takes incredible strength and resilience. Her baby is lucky to have a mother who takes such good care of herself. I can hear the ambulance siren now. They're almost here.
Thank goodness. Professional help is exactly what she needs.
Good timing. She's been unconscious for about 6 minutes now. That's getting into the concerning range. Will there be any lasting effects from being unconscious this long? Probably not if she gets proper medical attention quickly. 6 minutes isn't long enough to cause brain damage in most cases. The ambulance is pulling up now. Should we move away to give them room to work?
Let's step back, but stay close in case they need to ask us questions about what happened.
The lead paramedic will want to know the timeline and what interventions we provided. I'm nervous about talking to them. What if they think we did something wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You probably helped save her life by acting quickly and calling for help. Here they come. This is such a relief.
What? What happened? Where am I? Everything feels fuzzy and my head is spinning. You're okay, honey. You fainted on the street about 6 minutes ago, but this gentleman helped you breathe properly. I remember feeling dizzy and lightheaded, and then everything went black. Is my baby okay? I can feel some movement, but I'm scared.
You were unconscious for about 6 minutes. The ambulance should be here any moment to check on both of you thoroughly. You gave us quite a scare. Your lips turned blue and your breathing got really shallow. We thought we might lose you.
This has never happened before during my entire pregnancy. I've been feeling fine, maybe a little tired, but nothing like this.
Sometimes these things happen without warning, especially during pregnancy. The important thing is that you're conscious now and talking coherently.
Have you been eating enough today? Low blood sugar can cause fainting spells, especially when you're pregnant and need extra nutrition. I had breakfast around 7 this morning, but I've been rushing around all day trying to get errands done. I probably should have eaten lunch.
When you're pregnant, your body needs more fuel to keep both you and the baby healthy. Skipping meals can be dangerous. My ex-wife used to carry snacks everywhere when she was expecting our first pregnancy. Said it was her insurance policy against exactly this kind of situation.
I should probably start doing that. This was absolutely terrifying. I feel so guilty that I put my baby at risk.
Don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes our bodies just have different plans than we do.
The important thing is that you got help quickly and you're both okay now.
Try not to move too much until the paramedics check you out. You want to make sure there are no lingering effects from the fainting episode.
How did you know what to do? The way you handled everything seemed so professional and confident.
I have some medical background. I was able to clear your airway and position you to improve blood flow. He's being modest. You probably saved both your lives today. The ambulance is pulling up now. They'll want to check your vital signs and probably monitor the baby's heartbeat to make sure everything is normal.
I'm nervous about going to the hospital. What if something is really wrong and I just don't know it yet? That's exactly why you need to get checked out. Better to be safe and find out everything is fine than to ignore potential problems.
The medical team will run some tests, check your blood pressure, maybe do an ultrasound to see the baby. It's all routine for situations like this. And we'll make sure someone contacts your husband so he knows what happened and can meet you there.
Would someone please call him? His number is in my phone. Tell him to meet me at General Hospital and that I'm okay, but getting checked out.
Of course. What's his name? So I know I'm talking to the right person when he answers.
His name is Paul. He works at the construction site downtown, so he might not answer immediately because of noise and safety protocols. If he doesn't answer, we'll keep trying until we reach him. You shouldn't have to go through this alone.
Here come the paramedics. Let me talk to them first and explain what happened and what interventions we provided.
Paramedic team responding to an unconscious pregnant woman. Who was the first responder on scene, and what's the current status?
That would be me. The patient is a 7-month pregnant female who collapsed approximately 8 minutes ago. She was unconscious for about 6 minutes with shallow breathing and cyanosis around the lips. I cleared her airway, positioned her on her left side for improved blood flow, and elevated her legs. She regained consciousness about 2 minutes ago and is alert and oriented.
Excellent work and very thorough report. What's your medical background and training?
Former paramedic. I've been out of the field for 2 years, but muscle memory and training kicked in when I saw she needed help.
Well, your muscle memory and training might have saved 2 lives today. Patient, can you tell me your name and do you know what day it is? I'm Brooke. Today is Tuesday, I think. I feel much better now, but I'm worried about my baby. I felt some strong movements when I woke up that seemed different than normal. Movement is generally a good sign, but we're going to transport you to the hospital for full evaluation, including fetal monitoring to make sure both you and baby are doing well. Will she be all right? She seemed so scared when she first woke up. Fainting during pregnancy can have many different causes. Most of them are treatable and not dangerous to either mother or baby, but we need to run some tests to determine the exact cause.
Should we contact her family? Her husband probably doesn't know what happened, and he'll be worried if she doesn't come home.
Yes, please call Paul. His number is 555-0147. Tell him to meet me at General Hospital and that I'm okay, but getting checked out as a precaution.
I'll take care of that right now. I'll explain the situation clearly so he doesn't panic unnecessarily.
We need to get moving soon. Time is important when we're dealing with potential pregnancy complications, even when the patient seems stable.
Is there anything else I should tell you about her condition or what happened before the collapse?
Did she mention any symptoms before fainting? Dizziness, nausea, chest pain, shortness of breath?
She mentioned being tired and said she'd been walking for about 20 minutes looking for a pharmacy. She seemed a little winded, but otherwise normal.
She also said she'd been rushing around doing errands and only had breakfast this morning. No lunch. That could be related to low blood sugar or dehydration. We'll check both of those possibilities along with blood pressure and other potential causes.
How long will the hospital evaluation take? Should we plan to visit later or give her space?
Hospital evaluations for pregnancy-related fainting usually take several hours. Blood work, monitoring, possibly some imaging studies. I'd love to have visitors later, if you're willing to come by. You all feel like family after going through this together.
We'll definitely come check on you once you're settled and the doctors have had a chance to examine you properly. Take good care of her and that baby. She seems like a really wonderful person who deserves the best medical attention.
You did excellent work today. Have you ever considered coming back to emergency medical services? We're always looking for experienced paramedics.
I left for a reason. Too much trauma, too many sleepless nights, too many families getting bad news. But you were amazing today. You probably saved her life, and you handled everything with such calm confidence.
Maybe saving lives is worth the stress and trauma. Maybe the good you do outweighs the difficult parts.
I appreciate the encouragement, but I'm happy with my current life delivering packages instead of dealing with life and death emergencies. Your current life almost ended today, you know? This whole situation could have been very different. What are you talking about? My life wasn't in danger. I was walking to the downtown bridge when I bumped into you. I was planning to jump off and end everything.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious? You were planning to commit suicide?
Dead serious. No pun intended. I lost my job this morning after 23 years. My wife left me 3 months ago, and I have nothing left to live for. But meeting him and helping with this emergency changed your mind? Watching him save that woman's life made me realize that good people still exist in this world, and that life can have meaning even when everything seems hopeless.
That's a very serious situation. Do you have support resources available? Someone to talk to?
I'm starting to think maybe I do. These people have shown me more kindness in 1 hour than I've experienced in months. That's a pretty heavy thing to share with people you just met. Are you sure you're okay right now? I'm better than okay. For the first time in months, I feel like there might be a reason to keep going.
This whole situation is like something out of a movie. Multiple lives changed in the span of one emergency.
Sometimes the universe has a weird way of putting people in the right place at the right time for reasons we can't understand.
I feel like I was meant to meet all of you today, not just because you saved my life, but because we all needed each other in different ways. This is heartwarming, but we really need to get to the hospital. Medical evaluation takes priority over emotional conversations.
She's right. Get yourself checked out thoroughly and make sure you and the baby are completely healthy. If I hadn't been walking to that bridge, you wouldn't have been delayed on your delivery route. You wouldn't have been here when she collapsed.
So your worst moment actually created the circumstances for saving someone's life. That's incredible.
Maybe terrible things happen to position us for something important later. Maybe there's a bigger plan we can't see.
I believe everything happens for a reason. Today proved that to me beyond any doubt. We really do need to transport now. The hospital is expecting us, and delay could complicate treatment options.
Go take care of yourself. We'll visit you later and make sure you're doing well. Can I ride to the hospital with you? I want to make sure she gets there safely, and I think I need to talk to someone about my mental health situation.
That's actually a good idea. The hospital has crisis counselors available, and being around supportive people is helpful during mental health emergencies.
I'll drive separately and meet everyone there. Someone needs to make sure her husband gets the message and finds the right room.
I'll come with you. I want to make sure she's okay, and I think we should all stick together after what we've been through.
I need to finish my delivery route, but I'll come by the hospital this evening after work if visiting hours allow it.
Please don't feel obligated. You've already done so much for me.
It's not obligation. It's genuine concern for someone who feels like a friend now. A friend who I almost never got to meet if I'd gone through with my original plan.
This conversation is touching, but medical transport really can't wait any longer. We can continue talking at the hospital.
She's right.
Let's get going so the doctors can make sure everything is okay with you and the baby.
I'll call your husband from the car and give him detailed directions to the hospital. And I'll see all of you this evening. Take care of each other.
Thank you for saving my life and showing me that strangers can become family in moments of crisis.
Thank you for saving mine too, in a completely different but equally important way.
All right, let's load up and get moving. The hospital is 10 minutes away with lights and sirens. This has been the most intense and meaningful hour of my life.
Mine too. I'll never forget today or any of you. Neither will I. Sometimes ordinary days become extraordinary through the people we meet. Today turned from the worst day of my life into one of the most hopeful.
Today became the day I learned that angels exist, and sometimes they look like regular people doing deliveries. You're all very lucky to have found each other. Now, let's get to the hospital and make sure everyone stays healthy and safe.
You really think things will get better for me? I know they will. You just need to give yourself a chance.
Maybe you should look into volunteer work. Helping others might give your life new purpose.
I never thought about that. What kind of volunteer work? Emergency services always need volunteers. You could train to be a first responder. That's actually not a bad idea. You kept your head cool during the crisis today. Would you be willing to help me get started? I don't know where to begin. I suppose I could make some calls to my old contacts.
This is so heartwarming. Something beautiful came out of a scary situation.
I should probably head to the hospital to make sure the woman's husband gets the message. That's thoughtful of you. I'm sure she'll appreciate having someone familiar there. Can I come with you? I want to know that she's okay. Of course. We can all go together.
I'll join you too. I need to know she and the baby are safe.
All right, I guess we're all going to the hospital. Let me just secure these packages in my truck. Do you think she'll remember us? People sometimes get fuzzy memories after fainting. She seemed pretty alert when the paramedics were talking to her. I think she'll remember.
I hope her husband doesn't blame himself for not being with her.
Accidents happen. The important thing is that she got help quickly. How long does it usually take for hospitals to run tests on pregnant women? It depends on what they're looking for. Blood work, heart monitoring, ultrasound. Could be a few hours.
Should we bring her something? Flowers or a card?
Maybe just our presence is enough. She might be overwhelmed with medical procedures. Let's see how she's feeling first. We can always come back another time. This is the most purpose I've felt in months. It feels good to care about someone else's well-being.
Helping others really does help heal your own heart.
I'm starting to remember why I loved being a paramedic. The feeling of making a difference. Maybe you should consider going back. The world needs good people in emergency services. We could train together, be partners or something. Slow down there. I'm just thinking out loud.
But thinking is the first step toward action.
Here we are at the hospital. Let's go find her room. Excuse me, are you the people who helped my wife? The nurse said some good Samaritans brought her in and stayed to make sure she was okay. We were just in the right place at the right time when she needed help. How is she doing now? Have the doctors figured out what caused the fainting? The doctors say she's dehydrated and her blood pressure dropped suddenly due to not eating enough today. Nothing serious, thankfully, but it could have been dangerous if she hadn't gotten help quickly. And the baby? Is everything okay with the pregnancy? Strong heartbeat, normal movement, all the measurements look perfect. The little one seems completely unaffected by what happened to Mom.
That's such a relief. We were all so worried about both of them.
Can we see her? We wanted to make sure she was all right and let her know we were thinking about her. She's been asking about the man who helped her breathe properly and save her life. Are you him? I just did what anyone with basic first aid knowledge would have done. I'm glad I could help. The doctor said you probably saved her life and the baby's life too. If she had stayed unconscious much longer without proper airway management, both of them could have been in serious danger. He's being modest. He knew exactly what to do and took charge of the situation immediately.
He stayed calm under pressure and made sure she could breathe properly while we waited for the ambulance.
We all worked together, but he definitely had the medical knowledge to handle the emergency. She's in room 302 if you want to visit. She's been hoping you'd come by. She said she wanted to thank you personally.
We won't stay long. She needs a rest after everything she's been through today.
How long do the doctors want to keep her for observation? Just overnight to make sure her blood pressure stabilizes and she stays hydrated. If everything looks good in the morning, we can go home. That sounds very reasonable. Better to be cautious with pregnancy. Is this your first baby? You both seem pretty young. It is our first. We're nervous and excited and completely terrified all at the same time.
That's completely normal. Every first-time parent feels that way.
You'll figure it out as you go. Parenting is mostly learning on the job. Having a supportive partner makes all the difference. You both seem like you'll be great parents. I hope so. Today scared me more than I want to admit. The thought of losing either of them. But you didn't lose them. They're both safe because good people were in the right place at the right time.
And because you have a wife who takes care of herself and listens to her body when something doesn't feel right.
She's always been responsible about her health, but pregnancy has made her even more careful. That's exactly the right attitude. Taking care of herself is taking care of the baby. Should we go up and see her now? I'd like to make sure she's feeling better. Absolutely. She'll be so happy to see all of you.
I can't believe you all came to check on me. This is so incredibly sweet and thoughtful.
How are you feeling? Much better than this morning? I hope.
So much better. They've been pumping fluids into me for the past 2 hours, and I feel like a completely different person.
The doctors figured out exactly what caused the fainting episode.
Dehydration combined with low blood pressure from not eating enough. I've been so busy preparing for the baby that I completely forgot to take care of myself properly.
That's an easy mistake to make. Pregnancy seems overwhelming with everything you have to think about and plan for. She's been nesting like crazy for the past month, organizing the nursery, washing baby clothes, reading every parenting book ever written.
That's completely natural. Your body and mind are preparing for the biggest life change imaginable. I owe all of you so much, especially you. The nurse said you used to be a paramedic and knew exactly what to do.
Former paramedic, emphasis on former. I work in package deliveries now and try to live a quieter life.
What made you change careers? Paramedic work seems so meaningful and important.
Burnout. Too many emergency calls, too much trauma, too many families getting devastating news. I needed something peaceful where I wasn't responsible for life and death decisions every day. But you jumped right back into action today when someone needed help. That says something important about your character and instincts. You probably saved my life too, in a completely different but equally important way.
What do you mean? What happened?
I was having the absolute worst day of my life. Lost my job after 23 years. My wife left me. I had nothing left. I was walking to the bridge downtown planning to jump off and end everything. Meeting all of us and helping with the emergency change your perspective? Watching him save your life reminded me that good things still happen in this world, and that ordinary people can make extraordinary differences in each other's lives.
Sometimes we need reminders that life has meaning and purpose, even when everything seems dark and hopeless. I'm so glad you didn't go through with your original plan. The world needs people like you.
I don't feel like the world needs me, but today showed me that maybe I need the world more than I realized. Everyone has value and something to contribute. Sometimes it just takes the right circumstances to help us see it. This whole situation has been like a miracle. Multiple people's lives changed for the better because of one emergency. It makes you think about fate and whether things happen for reasons we can't always understand.
I want to stay in touch with all of you. You're part of our story now, and I feel like we're meant to be friends. I was thinking the exact same thing. I want to name the baby Noah, if it's a boy. Would that be okay with you?
You don't need my permission for anything, but I'm deeply honored you'd consider it. We've been struggling with names for months. This feels like the perfect solution and a beautiful way to remember today. What if it's a girl? Have you thought about that?
We hadn't considered it until now, but maybe June? She was so kind and supportive during the scariest moment of my life. Now you're going to make me cry happy tears. That would be absolutely incredible and such an honor.
This baby is going to have quite an origin story to tell when they're older. About how they brought together a group of strangers who became lifelong friends.
I want all of you to be part of this baby's life as they grow up. Honorary aunts and uncles.
We should exchange contact information before anyone leaves. I want to make sure we can all stay in touch. I'd love that. I don't have many friends right now, and meeting all of you has been the best thing that's happened to me in months.
Well, now you have 4 new friends who care about you and want to see you succeed.
5 friends, if you count the baby. They're going to grow up hearing stories about all of us. I think I'm ready to make some significant changes in my life too after today.
What kind of changes are you thinking about?
Maybe going back to helping people professionally. Today felt right in a way that my current job never does. we could apply to the fire department together, partners fighting emergencies side by side. The city always needs good emergency responders, especially people with experience and proven instincts.
You two would make an amazing team. You both showed incredible character today.
I work in city planning for the municipal government. I can help you navigate the application process and connect you with the right people.
This is perfect. Everyone helping everyone else achieve their goals and dreams.
It's funny how one scary moment can lead to so much positive change and personal growth. I almost made the worst mistake imaginable today. Now I can't imagine throwing my life away when there's so much possibility ahead. What stopped you from going through with the suicide attempt? Seeing him save your wife made me realize that every single life has value and meaning, including mine.
You're going to be an amazing first responder. You have natural compassion and empathy. Compassion is probably the most important quality for anyone in emergency services.
When do you think you'll start the application process? The sooner the better, right? Soon. Maybe next week. I need to dust off my old certifications and make sure everything is current. I'll need to start completely from scratch, but I'm actually excited about the challenge and learning something new. This baby is incredibly lucky to have such heroic people involved in their origin story.
Every time I tell them about the day they were almost born early because mommy fainted, I'll mention all of you and how you saved our lives. Speaking of which, when exactly are you due? How much longer do we have to wait to meet this little one? 2 more months. December 15th, assuming everything goes according to plan.
A Christmas baby. How absolutely perfect and special. We'll have to plan a big celebration when the little one arrives safely. I'd love to be the honorary uncle if that's okay with both of you. I think we can definitely arrange that. This baby is going to have the biggest, most loving, extended family ever.
The doctors want to keep me here overnight for observation, but all the test results look completely normal. Better safe than sorry, especially with pregnancy. 1 night of observation is a small price for peace of mind.
Take all the rest you need. Your body just went through significant trauma and stress. We should probably let you get some sleep soon. It's been a very long and emotionally draining day for everyone. Before we go, I want to thank you for giving my life meaning and purpose again.
And I want to thank you for literally saving my life and my baby's life.
Thank you all for being angels exactly when we needed them most.
Sometimes the most beautiful things grow out of the scariest moments.
I'll never forget today. It changed everything about how I see my life and my purpose. Same here. I learned what real community and human connection look like. 6 months from now, I'll be a certified first responder helping other people the way you helped us today.
And in 2 months, we'll have baby Noah or baby June to celebrate with all of you.
This feels like the beginning of something beautiful and lasting.
The beginning of a lifetime of friendship and mutual support.
Who would have thought that a routine delivery route could lead to this kind of life change? Life is unpredictable in the most wonderful possible ways. I'm going to call the volunteer coordinator first thing tomorrow morning to get started.
I'm going to follow every single one of my doctor's orders and take much better care of myself.
And I'm going to make sure she actually follows through on those orders.
I'm going to remember that helping strangers can change everything, including yourself.
And I'm going to remember why I became a paramedic in the first place. To save lives, help people, and bring communities together during crisis. This is better than any movie ending I've ever seen.
Because it's completely real, and it's just the beginning of our story together.
the beginning of our expanded chosen family.
Our emergency response family who found each other through crisis.
Our proof that good things happen when good people care about each other. Our reminder that every single day is a precious gift. Our story about second chances and new beginnings and hope.
Our baby's first miracle before they're even born.
The day everything changed for the better in ways we never could have imagined.
The day complete strangers became true family.
The day I remembered my real purpose and calling in life. The day we all learned what really matters most. The day I chose life instead of death.
The day we all chose to live better, more connected lives.
3 months later, I'm back in paramedic training and it feels like coming home. And I just passed my EMT certification exam. We're really doing this.
Baby Noah arrived last week, perfectly healthy and beautiful.
He looks just like his mom, but has his dad's stubborn personality already. We can't wait for all of you to meet him officially this weekend.
He's going to grow up knowing that he has the most amazing extended family.
A family that formed during one of the scariest days that turned into one of the most meaningful. I can't imagine what would have happened if we hadn't all found each other.
We don't need to imagine.
We're living the beautiful reality instead.
Sometimes the universe orchestrates exactly what we need. Sometimes ordinary people become heroes just by caring about each other.
Sometimes the worst moments become the doorways to the best parts of our lives.